Okay, let's get into it. Today we're doing a deep dive on a really specific piece of hardware, the NTI ST-C6USBHU-300.
Which is uh, a bit of a mouthful.
Right. But what it does is solve a huge problem.
hmm
How do you get perfect high-definition control of a computer that's hundreds of feet away?
And that's where KVM comes in. We're talking keyboard, video, in this case HDMI and mouse. You need your computer somewhere else, maybe a secure server room, but you need to use it from your desk.
And here's the hook, the thing that really caught my eye. It does this up to 300 feet, so about 91 meters, using just one single standard CT5 or TD6 cable.
Yeah, that's the core of it. Think about the alternative. Running a long HDMI cable, separate USB lines, it would be an absolute mess, a huge conduit full of copper.
A nightmare. So this keeps it simple. You have a local unit at the computer, and it works with basically anything, PC, SUN, and MASH.
Right, old and new operating systems, Windows Server, Linux, you name it. And then the remote unit is just sitting there with your monitor and keyboard.
And I saw this detail, which, for anyone who's actually installed this kind of gear, is critical. It only needs one power supply.
For both units.
Exactly. Trying to find a second power outlet 300 feet away from the first one can be the biggest headache of the entire job.
So we've got distance and simplicity, but that brings up the big question. What about the quality? You're pushing a signal that far.
You have to expect some degradation.
You would, but surprisingly, no. It fully supports HDTV resolutions up to 1080p and even computer resolutions up to 1920 by 1200.
And that's WUXGA. That's a serious resolution higher than full HD. You see that in specialized industrial monitors.
It is. And to prove the signal is clean, it supports all the high-end HDMI features. We're talking 12-bit deep color, XV color.
Lip sync even.
Yeah, and full uncompressed audio, Dolby True HD, DTS HD master audio, the kind of stuff that needs a lot of bandwidth.
So what are we talking bandwidth-wise?
The spec sheet says up to 225 megahertz, which works out to about 6.75 gigabits per second, so there's absolutely zero compromise on the audio or video.
Okay, so the AV is pristine. What about the K&M parts? The inputs. This is where it gets really interesting with the USB support.
Right. It's not just for your standard keyboard and mouse. There's a version with an extra USB 2.0 port, and it's designed for some very specific peripherals.
Peripherals that need really precise timing, I'm guessing.
Exactly. We're talking things like USB touchscreen monitors, which you'd find in a control room. They specifically mention models from Microtouch and ELO.
And interactive whiteboards, too. I saw the SmartBoard SB640 listed.
Yep. And maybe most critically, specialized CAT card readers, the kind you'd see in government or military settings for ID verification. It's compatible with brands like Gemalto. That requires a rock-solid USB connection.
And for those critical environments, you can't have things freezing up. I saw that the keyboard and mouse are hot pluggable with Keep Alive emulation.
Which just means you can unplug your mouse and plug in a new one, and the computer won't even notice. The process is never interrupted. It's a small detail, but it's essential.
Okay, so before we wrap up, we had to talk about how this thing is built. It's not some flimsy plastic box.
No, it's rugged steel. And it has all the standard approvals you'd expect, TAA compliant, so it can be sold to the U.S. government, CE ROHS.
But there's one more set of approvals that tells the whole story. It's certified to railway standards.
Right. EN 51055 and EN 5012132.
And what do those actually mean?
They mean it's been tested to withstand extreme vibration, major electrical interference, basically the harsh, noisy environment you'd find in a train control center or next to active rail lines.
So bringing it all together, what this means for you, the listener, is that this is so much more than a desktop accessory.
Absolutely. It's full-fidelity KVM over a single, cheap cable at a huge distance supporting mission-critical specialized gear.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If a device is built and certified to perform flawlessly in the brutal environment of a railway hub, what does that say about the level of reliability you should demand from the gear in your own most critical systems? Something to think about.